What's Gangplank's favorite ability? Welcome to a video where I talk about Gangplank, the saltwater scourge. Whoop. Okay, this isn't Gangplank, okay? This is the Godplank. The Godplank, okay? I mean, this guy, he's got guns, he's got barrels, he's got oranges, he's got big crits, but most of all, you get to be a pirate.
Wait, I went Cinder Hulk? Oh no, I actually did the right thing? That's not what I meant to do at all.
Dude, you should have built Blood Razor.
That sounds amazingly intelligent, but no.
Blood Razor Jungle Massive.
Dude, Phil, how's that footage? Damn.
Lore-wise, Gangplank is a ruthless, brutal, and unpredictable pirate that leaves a trail of death and destruction in his wake. He has amassed a large fortune by preying on the ships that sail to Runeterra, making quite a few enemies in the process. In more recent times, this fortune has blown up Gangplank's ship in front of all of Bilgewater, shattering Gangplank's aura of invincibility. As a result, Bilgewater has turned into a battleground as multiple gangs seek to fill the power vacuum that Gangplank has left. Gangplank survived the explosion, however, and is now back with a bunch of fresh new scars and a new metal arm, seeking to reclaim what is rightfully his and punishing those who have betrayed him. Gameplay-wise, Gangplank is a melee AD caster who specializes in long-range poke damage, but can also scrap it out in melee range as well. He is very squishy, but he has the ability to deal tons of damage. In the mid to late game, it is not unusual to chunk the enemy squishies for half their health, and it is extremely rewarding to get your barrels off. In addition, he has the ability to bully mini melee matchups, which are very meta right now, and has an ultimate that can turn around to fight anywhere on the map. While he does have a very steep mastery curve, he's extremely rewarding if you put time into him. Gangplank's passive is Trial by Fire. It is a true damage dot that burns opponents over 2.5 seconds and is applied by basic attacks only. The cooldown is reduced by level, it deals half damage to turrets, and it scales with your bonus AD plus whatever level you are. It also grants move speed. In lane, this allows you to last hit easier and gives you a little bit of damage to help you win a trade. The move speed you get from this is pretty significant, so it also allows you to stick to your target until you kill them. Combine this with the Fig and the Storm Rider Surge Mastery, and you just zip around the map. Gangplank's Q is a typical pirate pun. Parlay. It is a targeted ability that scales with 100% of Gangplank's total attack damage. It also applies on-hit effects such as Sheen, Shiv, Lifesteal, etc. It also plunders gold and silver serpents up and killing a unit. I'll get to the silver serpents later. It can also crit, so if you build items to praise RNG gods, you're gonna do a ton of damage. This ability is Gangplank's bread and butter in lane. You can use it to CS from range, or if you feel like being as annoying as possible, you can use it to poke the enemy layer and zone them from CS. You combine this with the Bandit Mastery, which should always be on Gangplank, and you just make bank. Since you actually get more gold from poking the enemy layer than you would on CS, you just queue them whenever you feel like you're not going to get torn open by them, and eventually they have it back, and you just get to CS anyways.
They are doing Baron. Yes, they are.
Whoa! Freaking! Oh my God! Baron just killed me. That's awesome.
I respect that flash.
Baron killed me and gave that new another kill.
Oh my
Wait, how many kills does Nunu have?
Oh my God, Phil, you beast.
Gangplank's W's remove Scurvy. You eat an orange, which heals you as well as removing all forms of crowd control. The heal scales off of missing health and ability power. This is a powerful yet simple basic ability, but it costs a lot of mana and has a long cooldown in the early stages of the game, so use it sparingly at that time. When using this ability, use it to try to either cleanse crowd control to keep on fighting or to get some extra health in a duel when you are on the verge of dying. In summary, you eat an orange, and it's K. Gangplank's E is Power Kick. Gangplank summons a barrel at a target location, and he can store up to 3 barrels at once. The barrels have 3 health, which decays to 1 health over a few seconds. The decay rate goes up at level 7 and 13. The barrels, however, do disarm after 60 seconds at staying on health. If Gangplank gets a less hit, the barrel explodes, dealing the attack's damage, plus bonus damage to champions, and ignores a percentage of the opponent's armor. It also resets Gangplank's passive and grants him a burst of movement speed. If activated by Parlay, it plunders all the enemy units that are killed by the barrel. If the enemy gets a less hit, there's no boom, and they get 10 gold. The barrels can chain together, but the damage does not stack. You're just creating a bigger area in which the damage is going to spread to. This is a very complex ability, and sort of the majority of Gangplank's mastery comes from. The damage you get from this is really good, and the armor shot allows you to stay relevant against both tanky and squishy targets, which is hard to find in mini-carry top laners. Out of lane, this is where your damage comes from, but it does require some strategic plan to get a good barrel combo off. Consider the following clip. As you can see, I'm laying against the Cassiopeia, who's pretty squishy, and I know I can take her down due to her squishiness. So I place the barrel on the wave, knowing that if she steps up, I can kill her. She comes, tries to auto-attack the barrel, fails, so I place another one, chaining it together, taking down a good portion of her health. I know she's in the bush, so I walk in there, pop my passive on her, which grants me a burst of movement speed. I then auto-attack her again, which procs with Thunderlords, Q her again. I think she's going to get away with sliver health, so I ult. She flashes though, which is pretty unfortunate, but I come in, I hit her with my final Q, then I W, and I walk out of there like a G. Finally, I get to Gangplank's ultimate, his Cannon Barrage. It deals damage in a large targeted area over 8 seconds. It reveals all enemies in this area and slows them for the duration of the ultimate. It has global range, it deals magic damage, and it scales with Gangplank's ability power. This is a really powerful ultimate due to its range, but it is gated behind a pretty large cooldown. In lane, you can use this ultimate to steal kills from your other lanes, secure a kill in your own lane, or you can use it to turn a fight in bot lane. Out of lane, you want to use this in team fights to get damage off, or use it in a siege to control the area around which you're sieging. Gangplank's ultimate has 3 upgrades, all of which cost 500 Silver Serpents each. When to get Silver Serpents, you need to kill enemy units with your Q. The first upgrade you want to get with your ultimate is the Fire at Will, as it gives you 6 extra waves over the ultimate's duration. Second, you want to get Death's Daughter because it gives you a true damage cannonball in the middle of the ultimate. And then you get the Raise Morale last because it like gives you movement speed. It's like the most useless thing ever. It's almost as useless as Cloud Drake, okay?
It's okay, sir. I work at retail.
Hey, I'm coming mid. I've got all.
Reported stealing my kill, Phil.
So why do you play Gangplank? Gangplank, I feel like, is just an all-around good champion in team play and solo queue, but because he just got so much stuff he can do with his barrels. And he just has the ability to stay in so many different metas due to his barrels and his poke damage. His barrels are very good for poking, good for team fighting, sieging, and he really shines in all situations when you're good with him, kind of like Azir. Wait, what was that sound? So before the Trinity Force changes, my build is pretty straightforward. I go for a Trinity Force into an Infinity Edge, into a Essence Reaver, and then grab some Swifty Boots or Tank Boots, depending on how I was doing. And then I would grab a Lifesteal item, whether that be Bloodthirst or Death's Dance, or I might even get a defensive item such as a Steric's Gauge. But since the Trinity Force changes, there have been about 3 build paths that have emerged. You have your Tobias Fate build, which is a standard crit build named after the high elo Gangplank streamer. And then you have your Armor Pen build, which is called Armor Pen build because, you know, he's a pirate. And then I have the best of both worlds, so why not both? So, getting into these builds, you have the Tobias Fate build, the standard crit build, gives you about 80% crit chance, about 45% bonus Armor Pen, and so you get a Training Force and Infinity Edge, CDR boots to cap off that 40% CDR. Actually, you don't even cap off your 4% CR with this, but that's another con to it. This build makes you more of like an auto-reliant AD caster, I guess, but you're more auto-reliant with this build, so you just get the CDR boots for 30% CDR, and then you grab a Phantom Dancer and a Static Shiv, and then you also grab the Lordonic Regrets or the Mortal Reminder, depending if you're facing someone like a Dr. Mundo or a Vladimir or a Swain or any of those other champions that require Grievous Wounds. So the next build is Armor Pen build, or the Armor Pen build. Now this build doesn't scale as well against tanks, but it scales extremely well against squishies. So you get a Trinity Force, a Yomu's Ghostblade, CDR boots to cap off 4% CDR, grab a Duskblade, a Maw, and a Lifesteal up, such as Ravenous Hydra or Death's Dance. Ravenous Hydra, I don't know if it's that good on Gangplank, but I find it pretty fun to use, so I do it. So this build gives you a ton of damage against squishies. It makes you a little bit more effective against tanks, but not by that much. This build does fall off against tanks, but you're not going to fall off against squishies, and your barrel poke is going to hurt that much more against them, but you are sacrificing crit. Also, the turret push is pretty good on this since you get all that armor pen, and it's just as good, if not better, than using the standard crit build that I just showed you. And then for our final build, we have why not both with the NAUT, because, you know, I like making puns. So, yeah, and then, so this build, you're basically getting a better mid-game power spike, but you are sacrificing a little bit of late game, but you're sacrificing late game for a better mid game, right? So you go Trinity Force into like maybe Yomu's, maybe an Infinity Edge, just depends on what you like more. Infinity Edge isn't as efficient to get without having crit chance, so it might be better to delay it. So you'd go for like a Trinity Force into like a Yomu's, into like a Zeal item, picking up some CDR boots to cap off your CDR, and then like getting an Infinity Edge, and then one or two Zeal items if you want. You can swap out the Static Shiv for like a Essence Reaver or a actually Essence Reaver would probably be like but you could swap it out for like a Death's Dance or a Ravenous Hydra or Duskblade, even if you felt like it. If you're gonna go this build though, you want to make sure that you end up with 50% crit chance. That's the standard. With the armor pen and the Best of Both Worlds build, so why not both? You want to make sure that you wind up with 40% CDR, because CDR is a really good stat in Gangplank. It's just as good, if not more important, than crit. So, I'm going to move on to Masteries now. So, you go into the Cunning Tree, into the Resolve tree. You go 1812, picking up Savagery, Assassin, Meditation, Bandit, Intelligence, and Thunderlord's Decree, because Thunderlords is really good in Gangplank. And then you go into the Resolve tree, picking up the Recovery, Explorer, Runic Armor, and Insight. So, breaking this down, I go for the Savagery because it gives me more damage against Minions, so it helps me last hit easier. I go Assassin because I'm in a solo lane, and it also works off of your ultimate if there's no allied champions around. Then you go for Meditation because the mana sustain really helps your landing phase and your Q. Then you go for Bandit because it gives you all that sweet extra gold when you hit somebody. And then you go for Intelligence because it gives you CDR, and like I said, CDR is very important. Then you go for Thunderlords because it gives your ultimate that much more oomph, and it also helps you blow your lane more. Then in the Resolve tree, I go for Recovery because it's better than Unyielding. I don't really build armor, so not really any point. Then Explorer because you can roam to mid more, which is really good when you want to rotate to get that other mid turret. And then you go for Runic Armor because it synergizes really well with Gangplank's W. And then you go for Insight because it reduces the cooldown of summer spells with 50%, which is way much better than Perseverance, but Rito hasn't fixed that yet, so yeah. So for runes, I just run a standard 80 rune page. I go for 80 quints, 80 reds, armor yellows, and then magic resistance blues. Pretty standard. It helps me, gives me some defensive stats as well as some offensive stats to help me come out of lane on top and lets me blow out my lane more. So yeah, that's everything I have. I hope you guys enjoyed this Gangplank video, and if you enjoyed it, make sure to click that like button, and if you want to see more of this, make sure to subscribe and tell your friends about this video, because you know what, you can't let friends not know about this. You know, it's a high quality video, I swear.